Okay, so I kind of screwed up a little bit. I got ahead of myself. Before I cut this hole out of the top, I should have cut my rosette, okay? And so I'm going back and I'm cutting the rosette. And what I've had to do is tape this top to a backer board and find my center point. And then what I've done, I've marked out my where the beginning of my rosette's gonna be. Okay, I don't know how wide I'm gonna make it yet, but I'm gonna attempt to make my own rosette. Okay, so I made this rosette on my laser engraver. I think it turned out pretty good, and it's made out of zebra wood. And so I'm gonna install that into this top now. So first thing I did was trace out where that thing's gonna be. Okay, so that's the depth of my rosette, 0.075. So I should have enough depth when I put it in my top. So next thing I'm going to do is route my circle to put this in. Okay, I've got it measured out. I've checked it, double checked it. So here we go. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to move my jig a little bit and keep going with this slot. Okay, it's an almost perfect fit. It's just a little too proud, and I want to get it a little closer because I don't want to sand through this pattern and by sanding it down. So I'm going to go back over it and just go a little tiny bit deeper. So I'm going to glue this down, and I'm going to use regular wood glue, and I'm going to use CA glue also. So okay, next we're going to apply CA glue. Very sparingly. Okay, so next we're going to do the back bracing and the back strips. I've got this cool template or plan that I had printed out. It is to scale, and so what I can do, I got my center lines here. I'm going to line them up here, and I'm going to use these lines to mark out where my center strip's going to go and also where my bracing is going to go. So typically you would cut your back bracing out of leftover material from your top. I didn't have any leftover material. So I do have several blocks of this spruce for bracing. So I'm gonna cut a strip out of this to use as my back strip. The dimensions for this is gonna be 1 inch wide and 20 inches long. So because our top was about 100 thousandths of an inch, that's what we're going to shoot for on this back strip. I'm cutting it over that, of course, but I'll finish it in the drum sander. So it's right at 100 thousandths of an inch, right off the table saw. So we'll leave it there, but if we had to, we could run it through the drum sander to fine tune it. I like putting a slight bevel on the edge of this. Okay, so you can make your own go bar deck pretty easily. I've just got a surface up here, right? Flat surface. You know, it's a little tall, so what I do, I use blocks, and I put my radius dish here, and I've got a lot of these rods. I've got about 20 or so of these rods. You can order these online. And so now what we're going to do is glue on our back strip. Okay, we've got our glue on there. Try not to glop it on too much to avoid any squeeze out. Okay, next we're gonna cut out the bracing, and so we're using this spruce, which I had to order from Alaska actually, and it's quarter sawn. If you can kind of see the grain how it runs, so we want our bracing to run up and down. So we're going to cut our bracing, and so we're going to want to cut our bracing by it may be backwards on this, 3/4 of an inch this way by a 1/4 inch this way, and we're going to need 10 pieces of this. And so I'm going to run this through the drum sander to get this 3/4 of an inch tall, basically. So now I'm going to cut 10 strips from our bracing. Just a tip, it's easier using one of these little thin strip jigs than trying to cut little thin strips inside the blade. So here we go. Okay, so here's all my bracing pieces, rough cut, and again, they're 3/4 of an inch wide and a 1/4 inch, or 3/4 of an inch tall, and a 1/4 inch in width that way. So first I'll use a curved chisel to get any of the squeeze out, and I've already started that. I've gotten most of it with this. So then what I'm going to do with 80 grit, I come back. Now you notice I didn't wrap it around that corner, right? I left it flat there so I can come back and sand whatever's left off, because you'll be able to see this through the sound hole. So you want it to be nice and neat looking. So I'll sand that edge. I'll do the other edge. And I'll probably go to a higher grit sandpaper, do the same thing, just to clean that up real nice. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move our line across on these. And then what we'll do is I'm going to trim these up. I'll mark them first. Okay, so now we're cutting out the slots for our bracing. I've already done one, okay? And the way, start with the back one, that way if you mess it up, you don't see that as much back here. But I've measured my bracing, and I'm just going to kind of eyeball the middle of my line there. Make some marks, and then I'm going to come across with my square. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is take a razor blade, and I'm going to use a razor blade to make that cut in a hammer. Tap it. Try to be pretty even with it. Okay, and then I'm going to do the other side. Okay. Then I'm going to take a chisel, and I'm going to come back and chisel that little slot out, and it should come out pretty easily. Okay, and I'm going to continue that. Okay, so I've got that chiseled out. I'll check the fit. Fits really well. And so I've already done the fourth one the same way. And so I'm going to continue these two before we glue it up. Okay, before we glue the bracing down on the back, we have to radius the bracing. I've already done this one. It's a 15-foot radius. And so one thing we can do is mark some chalk on the back, kind of make a what you call a witness mark. And we're going to sand this until the chalk is gone. And then we'll have our radius on here. Okay, so now we're going to glue the bracing on. We've radiused it. A little too much glue there. Okay, so I'm going to apply glue to all of these. Okay, so I've got all this clamped down and we'll just let it dry now. Okay, so I've got my top under here and I've got my template on top of it. I've taped them together because I don't want this to move at all. And what I'm gonna do is go around and trace all of the things I can trace. This is gonna show me the alignment of all my bracing. So next I'll just take my straight edge and I'll connect all the dots basically to know exactly where my bracing is going to go. So for the X bracing, I've picked some pieces that have, you probably can't really see it, but has really tight grain, straight grain. And so I'm just going to kind of rough cut these. And then radius them on the radiusing dish. It's a 28-foot radius. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do with each piece now is, so these pieces of the bracing here, I will rough cut these and then radius them. Okay, I can get, for both of these tone bars and these tone bars, I can use probably one piece. And so I'll do the same and I'll radius each of them. Okay, so here I have all my bracing. It's radiused and rough cut out. The next step is to glue the X bracing when I start gluing this stuff in. So the way we can tell where to mark our X bracing to cut the slots for that, I've laid them out onto my drawing template. I line this side up and I get the piece of the square there that comes off. I line it up on the line, and that makes sure that I am lined up exactly where I need to be. Then I can mark. Where I need to make my cuts. Okay, you can see. And I can take my little notches there and draw a straight line. I don't know if you can see this or not. And that kind of shows where I need to make my cut. These actually should be fairly straight across, so I'll probably need to straighten these lines out. Alright, so I've lined up my lines there. I'm going to measure how wide this is, and then I'm going to take half of that, and that's how far I know how far down to cut. So that's 0.365. So I'll score a mark there, and then I'll mark that, and that's how I know how deep to go on my cut. Okay, so I'm using a dovetail saw. You want to cut well within your lines because you want this joint to be really tight. Then you can easily take a chisel, already pop one side out, and pop that right out, just like that. Very easy to do. Okay, so it's super tight, so tight I can't get it on there. That's what we want. And so then we can take a very fine file and file it just a little bit. Still a little tight, so we'll keep working at that with the file until we get it seated. Okay, next we're going to glue down our X bracing. I'm going to put just a little bit of glue in this joint. Okay. Okay, then let's make sure we're going to be able to line that up. Yep, so it's going to go like that. And we're going to apply glue. Okay, and we're going to carefully place this because we don't want a lot of glue smeared everywhere. Kind of place it right in the middle there. And then we're going to use our go bar deck and start clamping this down. Okay, so I've got all of this clamped down and we'll just wait on it to dry now.